Our topic on today's edition of Senior Moments is issues of aging, making your own decisions. Should mom and dad move? Brought to you by hometown station AM 1220 KHTS. Good morning, everyone. We are with the Senior Resource Alliance. At today's topic, we have a lot of great guests. But before I begin, I want to speak briefly about the Senior Resource Alliance. We're a local group of professionals that provide services for seniors here in Santa Clarita. Some of the many services include professional services, financial services, in-home services, and out-of-home services, including audiology, reverse mortgage, non-medical in-home services, and placement services. We have several guests, as I've mentioned today. My name is Curtis Woods, and I'm your host for Senior Moments. Our guests are Mary Demkowski, Marketing Director of Oakmont of Santa Clarita, Cynthia Rabinovich, President of Move My Senior, Suzanne Nelson, Director of Support Services at Santa Clarita Valley Senior Center, and Joel Green, co-owner of Homestead Senior Services, Senior Care. Good morning, panel. Glad to have you guys all here.
Good morning.
So I'll begin with a few bios of all the great people we have here. First, Mary Demkowski is the Director of Marketing at Oakmont of Santa Clarita, brand new assisted living and memory care community scheduled to open on January 2016. Mary's been working with the assisted living field for 8 years and has extensive knowledge and experience in dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Cynthia Rabinovich is the founder and president of Move My Senior and a graduate from Cal Poly Pomona's Collins School of Hospitality Management. She has dedicated her career to healthcare industry for 10 years as a hospitality leader, healthcare professional, assisting individuals to healthy recovery while actively including their families in their transition plans. Cynthia is also a certified dietary manager and certified senior advisor specializing in helping seniors and baby boomers find home relocation, downsizing their homes for a stress-free, seamless, and compassionate experience. Joel Green is a certified senior advisor and is the co-owner of Homestead Senior Care for 10 years. Homestead's mission is to keep seniors as healthy, safe, and living independently as possible in their homes, wherever home is, for as long as possible. Welcome all. Before we go, we're going to start with Suzanne Nelson. Suzanne Nelson has a 40-year experience with nonprofit social service agencies within Los Angeles City and Los Angeles County. For the past 28 years, she's been with the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Center, coordinating programs and services that allow older and more frail senior citizens to remain with dignity in their home as long as possible. Suzanne, welcome to our show.
Good morning.
We have a lot to talk about today, and tell us a little bit about the Senior Center here in Santa Clarita.
Well, the Senior Center has a wide spectrum of services for the very, very active to the very, very frail. We have 63 different recreational activities focused on keeping seniors healthy and active for as long as possible. One of the groups, we have an 80-year-old man who's in the Zumba group.
Nice.
And then on the other spectrum, we also have programs for our frail elderly and adult day program. Nice. But many of the services are geared. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for seniors, and the mission of the Supportive Services Department that I am director of is much like what you mentioned about Homestead. It's to keep people safe as long as possible in their own homes. And one of the ways we do that is we provide home-delivered meals for 300 individuals, and awesome. These are at-risk people. And these are the people that may be recovering from surgery or may be on the program for long-term. It gives us an opportunity to assess their needs and to watch over them, and if we see changes in their mentality, then it's an opportunity to refer them to those programs in the community. For instance, if Mrs. Jones has been perfectly great every day, and then one day we knock on Mrs. Jones' door And we noticed that she's been heating her frozen meal in the dishwasher. And that's a sign that we need to report to Adult Protective Services, or perhaps we have a lady who calls us often and says, I didn't get my meal today. Well, in reality, she's just eaten it 5 minutes before.
And I assume that some of those factors, well, tell me more about at risk. Are those some of the factors that make a person at risk?
Absolutely. And then we would contact their family. We would assess the situation. We would see if they would be appropriate for our licensed adult day program, where we could supervise them in a warm environment, and they could socialize with their peers. And then, if it progresses farther than that, they might just need to have in-home care, so they can stay at home for as long as possible. But when it gets to the point where those red flags go up, where there's dementia involved, where they don't know how to use their stove safely, then we have to refer more in-depth services or make an adult protective services report.
Okay.
And that's where places like Home Instead and Mary's retirement living comes. They're not safe at home anymore, so we need to look to other options.
That's a very good point. And then, as an adult or an adult child of a senior, what are some of the first steps when we start to recognize some of these red flags that you're speaking about? What are some of the first steps that we take to become involved with your facility?
We try to get those people involved in our support groups and our caregiver workshops so they can anticipate the things that are going to happen in the future, the things that are happening now, and so they know how to handle those situations, because you really don't know until you're experiencing it yourself.
Right. And are there specific programs that the Senior Center offers to help mom or dad?
Yes, we have a caregiver support group weekly. We have a caregiver workshop weekly. Once a year, we host an annual caregiver resource day.
Got it. Very good. What about alternative care programs? What are some alternative care programs?
Well, it's interesting that you should mention that, because that takes me back historically to when I worked for Los Angeles City, and I worked for a multipurpose center, the first multipurpose center of 13 in Los Angeles City to open. And we had one of the first daycare programs within a multipurpose center at that time. Now, that was 30 plus years ago, but now we have this similar program right here in Santa Clarita, where if people need supervision during the day, if their spouse works or they're living with relatives, mother, son or daughter, then they can be at the senior center during the day, socializing, having a nutritious lunch, having activities geared towards them.
Very nice, very nice. And you mentioned about some workshops and things like that. Do you have workshops for family caregivers, or things that when I'm an adult, child of a senior, workshops that I could learn how to be a caregiver or something to that effect?
Yes, that workshop goes on every Friday. There's a different topic.
Very good, very good. And then also, what type of community outreach do you guys do at the Senior Center?
We do outreach all the time. This is outreach.
Nice.
We network with the community in many different ways. We network with the doctors. We network with the other aging groups. We network with neighbors. It's endless.
Nice. And then overall, about how many seniors do you guys work with? Just a general ballpark, so we kind of have an idea about the many lives that you touch on a regular basis.
I'd happen to be reviewing our volunteer numbers for last year for a report I was doing. There were 1,000 people on that. Talk about community networking.
Nice.
Many volunteers from high schools, from interns from different universities, to community people that want to be involved. Like next week, the Lions are hosting a Thanksgiving meal on Thanksgiving Day at the Senior Center. And 250 people will attend that.
Very
and
good.
there are ASB students from the high schools. There are football teams from the high school. It's a really a wonderful thing to experience. And it's a place for the seniors to come. And they can also bring their families that day.
Really nice, really nice. It's a good opportunity for the community to kind of give back to the community. It feels good to do good for others. But then also for those that may have a senior in their home, they have an opportunity to learn how to better interact with them, or at least learn more about great resources like what you offer. So I think that's going to be a good deal. Let's see. So we have mom or dad that are seniors. We have an opportunity to work with you. So what is a senior today? Exactly, like what is considered to be a senior? Is there an age group? Is it a mindset? Is it a health type level? What is that considered nowadays?
All of the above. It depends on what you're asking for. If you're looking for certain services, sometimes the age group is 55. Social Security, 60 or above. If you're widowed, you can get Social Security at 60. Nice. So it really depends. Our services, our luncheon program is geared for people that are 60 and older, and I would say that's the majority of it. But you can see a very, very frail 60-year-old and a very, very active 103-year-old.
Right. And I can say I've seen the seniors that are there on a regular basis throughout the community, especially at our Memorial Day event that we do at Eternal Valley. I see the senior centers participants there all the time, having a great time, dancing and having a good thing. So I appreciate all that you guys do for the community. I think it's a good deal. Now, on that, you mentioned some of the things that Joel provides for the community. And Joel, we have, again, seniors that prefer to be involved, some seniors that are not able to be involved. Tell us more about the services that you provide for Santa Clarita.
Well, at Home Instead Senior Care, we provide one-on-one in-home care for seniors. But I loved your question about what is a senior today, because a senior runs quite a gamut. And I would tell you that most times, nobody needs our help.
Okay.
Even people that need our help don't need our help, because people try to cling to that independence.
Right.
And it's been, in most cases, it's the last bastion of their dignity, their the way that they perceive themselves. So that's very important to the people that we work with, to make sure that they know that we're just providing the help that is necessary, not trying to take over.
Okay, well, on that, what is home care? What is it that you...
Well, home care is very much, again, going from what Suzanne said, it's the things that, it's the best definition I've ever heard of what we do. It's called ADLs, and the best definition of ADLs, it's all the things that you and I do in the morning when we get up.
Okay.
It's things like going to the bathroom, brushing our teeth, showering, making breakfast, moving ourselves, ambulation, moving ourselves from the bed to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to getting dressed, to showering before we get dressed, to meal preparation, to being able to get to that doctor appointment. It's all of those things that keep us living as independently as possible for as long as possible.
Nice. And then I guess at that point, when do people call you? We heard about some red flags that makes a senior or a person at risk, but at what point should a child of a senior give you a call?
People very frequently call when they're stressed. We get the calls when people don't have, the family caregivers perceive that they don't have anywhere else to go. Most of the time it starts out with family caregivers, which Suzanne and the Senior Center do such a great job in their caregiver workshops for family members. But at some point in time it becomes overwhelming.
Right.
When you constantly have to leave work to come home and take care of mom and dad, when perhaps you're taking a leave of absence to take care of mom or dad, or both.
Right.
And very frequently it's also with married couples, it's the healthier spouse taking care of the less healthy spouse.
Right. Right.
And that becomes extremely problematic, because that truly is a house of cards, where if something happens to the quote-unquote healthier spouse,
right,
then they both are in big trouble.
Right. And does it happen relatively frequently where people feel almost obligated to be that person and
it
go it
is
alone?
Because, especially when you're a couple, when you're married for a very long period of time, you feel that obligation that you have to do it, and nobody can do it as good as you.
Right.
And we see burnout, as does Suzanne and Mary and Cynthia. We all see burnout of couples very frequently, where again that healthier spouse just can't do it anymore.
Right. Right. And I guess when they're unaware of the services that you provide that could comfort them in their daily duties, it can be easily burnt out.
And it's amazing, because we hear all the time people will say, "If I only knew that you did this."
Right.
And yet we advertise. This show is sponsored by the Santa Clarita Valley Senior Resource Alliance. It's a group of professionals that have resources,
right,
and do community education,
right.
And people will say, "If I only knew about the programs at the senior center, if I only knew about Cynthia helping me move, or Mary at Oakmont, wow, you would have really," or your services too at Dignity, Curtis. People will say so frequently, "You would have really taken a great load off my mind and help me or my parents preserve our health."
Nice. And now when we put the word out there, we get out to the community and people hear this show, they start to learn the service that you provide. And of those services, what are some of the more frequently requested services?
Usually people, the first call we get is, "Do you guys clean houses?" And if they happen to get me on the phone, the firm answer to that is no. Okay. We're not a house cleaning service.
Right.
We maintain a clean home.
Right.
We do work with house cleaning services. We are certainly able to maintain that home once it's clean, because the mission-critical places in everyone's home that have to be clean are obviously the kitchen,
right,
the bathroom, and the bedroom.
Right.
Nutrition becomes a key part of what we do. So a home-cooked meal becomes very important. When I speak with families and I say, "Well, how's your eating habits?" Families will say, "Great." And I'll say, "Well, what did you have for breakfast today?" And they'll say, "Well, I had tea."
Wow.
I'll say, "Well, what are we going to have for lunch?" "Well, I'm going to have some of those little prepackaged peanut butter cookies."
Oh, wow.
And I'll say, "How about dinner?" "Oh, dinner is a lean cuisine from the Frigidaire, from the freezer."
Right.
Well, that's not necessarily a healthy meal all the time.
Right, and I guess for the person looking in, it would be pretty obvious that, you need to get better nutrition. But more importantly, when you were talking about cleaning up, it's something that you come in and help maintain, is what it sounds like. You don't reestablish something brand new. They have to have certain steps of cleanliness in the home, and then you help to kind of maintain that along the way. Now, we were going to take a quick break, and I want to continue on that topic. But when we come back, we'll talk about issues of aging, making decisions, making your own decisions. Should mom and dad move? On Senior Moments, brought to you by the Santa Clarita Resource Alliance, I'm Curtis Woods on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.